Good morning. Good morning, children. Today we are going to see the heredity and the variation. So generally, heredity is said to be the transmission of characters. So the transmission of characters from the parents to the offspring. So that is the very important process in the heredity. So from the parents to the offspring. So here, this offspring is the new word where it is otherwise called as progeny or the next generation. So in simple way, we can say heredity is said to be the transmission of characters from one generation to the other generation. That is said to be the heredity. So this is the basic for all the important characters or traits which the children or which the generation which they are inheriting from the previous generation. So because of this heredity, the characters, as the character is getting transmitted, so there are a lot of variations also occur in the generation. So what does mean by variation? Changes in the DNA or genes. So this variation, generally variation, simple meaning is a change. So generally variant, variable, this is a very common word we know. So what is this variation in terms of heredity? So during reproduction, especially in the type of asexual reproduction, the two different gametes are getting fused, like the sperm and the ovum. So two different gametes are getting fused to form the zygote. So especially in the sexual reproduction, the zygote will be having the higher range of variation because it is inheriting the characters from two parents, like from two different parents. So the variation, the changes will be more. Like for example, if you take ourselves, like we are not the Xerox copies of our parents, like if you see, like we have a lot of variation because we have inherited the genes from the parent, from the father and the mother. So the variation occurs. So variation is nothing but the changes in the DNA copying, where in the especially this sexual reproduction, two different chromosomes we are inheriting from the two different parents. So the information the two different chromosomes are getting into the zygote. So the variation is higher in terms of sexual reproduction and sexually reproducing organisms. And what about this asexual reproduction? Variation in terms of like organisms such as bacteria or any unicellular organism or any simple organism which undergoes asexual reproduction. In their level, the variation will be simple, not as like a higher organism or multicellular organism. Their variation will be very negligible. So if you take unicellular bacteria, algae, or any other thing, if you observe those organisms, the variation, it's not very much visible, it is very negligible. So this is about the heredity and the variation. While we learn about the heredity, the one important thing I say is characters. So here, new word you are going to learn is traits. So here in heredity, we are not going to use the word characters. We are also using, but the most commonly we'll be using the word trait. What is this trait? Trait is nothing but the characters, like physical and the physiological changes in our body, like which will be inherited from the parents, are said to be the trait. There are two types of trait we have. Those are acquired trait and inherited. Just an information for to know about this. Acquired means which we develop during our lifetime. Like we can say it is a skill. But what is inherited? Inherited plays a very important role in this lesson because inherited traits are which we are inheriting from the parents. So this is about the heredity and the variation. And the another one important information about the variation is the accumulation of variation. So what is this accumulation of variation? The meaning for accumulation is where the variation over and over, the variation has become accumulated and it has been transmitted from the one generation to another generation. It has been explained in terms of bacteria in the lesson. So if the bacteria is a normal bacteria which can survive in a normal environment, in olden days, so they are after the various changes takes place in the earth, like earth temperature is increasing, the bacteria is tend to disappear or tend to die, but the bacteria is still surviving, which means it is inheriting the change, like it is inheriting the heat resistant character in it, and it has been surviving so far. The oldest form of organism is the bacteria. Still the bacteria is surviving in the environment because of this like adapting the variation or accumulation of this variation. So this is about the accumulation of variation. So I hope you have understood about the variation, heredity, what is heredity, and about the definition for the variation, and about the trait and the two different types of trait, and what is about the accumulation of variation. So this lesson continuously will be having this concept of variation in upcoming experiments, like the scientist have taken a plant and he has done various experiments and he has concluded that the character or the trait has been passed from one generation to another generation. And there is another one conclusion also has been done, like some traits are dominant, some traits are recessive. That also has been given an idea about those in this upcoming chapters. So next we are going to see about the monohybrid cross. So before going to the monohybrid cross, you should know the two different words. One is dominant trait, another one is recessive. So the name itself says about the dominant. Dominant means, we know it's a very common name, common word. Dominant means which will be always dominant, which can be expressed very boldly. So that is a dominant character. Here also, the character in us will be expressed. For example, father and the mother. Father will be having some character and mother will be having some character. The character which has been expressed in the child from the father, if it has been expressed from the father, so that character is the dominant, has been expressed. So that conclusion has been given by Mendel by using a set of experiment by using a plant called Pisum sativum, which says about the monohybrid and the dihybrid cross. So those monohybrid and the dihybrid cross says about how the characters has been inherited, how the dominant trait has been expressed, and what is mean recessive. Recessive means a very commonly we can say they are very reserved. The people, those who are not expressed, those who won't express themselves are said to be the reserved people. Recessive trait means it won't be expressed when the dominant is present. So this is the next class we'll be seeing about the monohybrid cross. Thank you.